A shock announcement today from the Attorney General's office. A former employee with the Department of Social Services facing charges for allegedly stealing nearly $2 million from the state.
It happened over the course of a decade, and most of those funds are not expected to be recovered. Cooper Seamer has been following this case for us and brings us our top story here at 6. Cooper, good evening.
Yeah, Brian and Andrea, authorities arrested Lonna Carroll this week in Algona, Iowa, where she currently lives. According to an indictment, she allegedly stole $1.78 million from the Department of Social Services while she was an employee there, stealing funds that would have otherwise helped children in foster care.
January 1 of 2010 through March of 2023.
For over 13 years, Lonna Carroll allegedly stole from the Department of Social Services, Department of Child Protection Services. South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley says his office was first contacted back in February of this year by the DSS, nearly a year after Carroll had left the department. After a months-long investigation, Carroll is being charged with 2 counts of aggravated grand theft in Hughes County.
We've reached a point in the investigation where we were prepared, based upon our findings and our belief of what have occurred, to bring charges.
With her position in the DSS, Jackley says Carroll allegedly would both request and approve funds for CPS cases, essentially acting as her own supervisor. Once approved by other DSS offices and the state auditor, she would intercept checks and take them to a bank to deposit them and immediately withdraw the funds. Carroll then deposited the funds into another bank in her own personal account. Jackley says this allegedly happened about 571 times from January of 2010 to March of 2023, using funds from state and federal sources that would have otherwise been mainly used for foster care services.
So those dollars may not directly have been taken from a particular child, but that is the $1.78 million is for child protection services, either for a particular group of children or available for other kids.
Those 2 counts differ in their severity due to a state law change back in 2013. For 1 count, Carroll is facing up to 25 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. The 2nd count carries a penalty of 15 years in prison and a $30,000 fine. Jackley wouldn't speculate on Carroll's motive for allegedly stealing the funds, but says it's unlikely the state will recover that money.
And what I can state is at this time is my understanding is there will not be a strong likelihood of recovery for restitution.
Jackley says this level of theft is on the scale of both the EB5 and Gear Up scandals, theft of funds that rocked the state. Now at this time, Carroll is waiting for extradition to South Dakota and is being held on a $50,000 bond. Andrea?
All right, Cooper, thank you. Jackley also would not comment on the amount of each check that Carroll allegedly stole or the average of them total, but to give you an idea, Jackley says there were about 571 transactions that Carroll had a hand in for personal gain. Taking $1.78 million divided by that number gives an average of a little over $3,100 per check.